Welcome to the Women Empowerment Podcast. We are firm believers that we rise by lifting others. The podcast is a platform for women to share their personal stories and experiences, trials and triumphs, to have their voices heard, to promote, inspire, and motivate other women. We want to share the journey of women leaders and entrepreneurs from all industries and sectors who've made an outstanding impact in our society and empower others to do the same.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women Empowerment Podcast. I am your host, Courtney Gideon, and it is my absolute pleasure today to introduce Kristen Berry. And Kristen is a tea sommelier and founder of Bonne Fille Tea and a wonderful supporter of the Women Empowerment Awards. Kristen, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Courtney. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to meet you. And I'm really excited to learn more about your brand and to learn more about something that I am very passionate about, which is tea. I love tea. I'm a huge, I consume multiple cups of tea a day. So I could be maybe one of your best customers too here.
Well, you're in company. I also drink lots of tea.
Amazing. Amazing. So let's get started. Let's dive in. One of the questions that I find really telling and really exciting is a little bit about your history and your background, because I really think this influences, who we are. Can you let me know a little bit more about where you grew up and how you feel that this shaped who you are today?
Well, I grew up in Markham, Ontario, and I did a fair bit of moving when I was younger. So I also lived in Stouffville and a little bit in North York. Amazing. And I think one of the ways that this shaped me is that, I really love living in Canada. I think there's a lot of fantastic things about Canada, about nature, about all the different places that we have here. So, going up north or being in Toronto, there's lots to discover. So I think that, just being shaped by the culture of Canada and specifically, a lot of my time being in Ontario, it has been special.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned nature, going up north. Is that a big part of who you are? Are you like an outdoorsy type of person?
Very much so. I love nature. I definitely love to get up north. I love to visit my mom. She's out in London, Ontario. So some of the areas out in that direction. And then also just even across Canada, I have family across Canada. So going out east, going out west, there's so much to discover here. And we have such amazing and breathtaking landscape here in Canada. So I think that's super special.
For sure. I grew up in Markham too, actually. So small world.
Amazing.
Yeah. I went to Markham High.
Oh, incredible. I went to Markville.
Oh, okay, that's so funny. We probably know the same people.
We might.
So speaking of people, along your journey, you mentioned your mom, but was there anybody really pivotal to you, man or woman, you feel that really helped you along to get you where you are today?
Well, I definitely think that it takes a village, and my family has been an incredible, part of molding who I am. So shout outs to all of them for their contribution and, really being a source of inspiration in my life.
So can you pick just one? You said your family, but do you think there's maybe one more than another, or is it just, is it that village that surrounded you?
Well, that would be really tricky to do without having very awkward family get-together. So what I'll do, though, is mention, over the course of my career, I'd met a woman, her name is Shannon Conroy. And when I got started in the finance industry, way, way, way back, she took me under her wing and really opened up a lot of doors for me and perspective for me in terms of what's possible in a career. And I remember us meeting and the impact that she had on my career in a very profound way with, admiration.
Yeah, it's so special when that person takes you under their wing. It's the sense of like safety for you to grow and try new things. but with support, with that a little bit of additional support. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah, yeah. So I always do a little bit of research about people beforehand because there's so much that makes us who we are. And one of the things that I learned about you is that you are a huge animal lover, and I share this love as well. And so can you tell me a little bit more like about where, when you remember first having this like feeling about the animals and maybe what they do for you?
When I was younger, I used to volunteer at a pet store because my love of animals was just so, um, I wanted to be around them all the time. So I used to volunteer at a pet store in walking the dogs, giving them time outside of their crate, taking care of them, nurturing them, running them around in the back of, you'll know this, Markville Mall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so
So
fun.
I really did love finding ways to be close to animals. And then, that went on to volunteering at PetSmart. So I did dog grooming there. So, this was always over and above my career. I made an effort to make an impact in the lives of animals and be close to them because there's something about being near them that offers me a perspective on life. And also, I guess like emotional well-being, um, comfort. And I lovingly say brain candy because, thinking about them in throughout my day, thinking about what they might be up to, thinking about what they might be thinking about is it's kind of like brain candy.
I love that saying, brain candy. I haven't heard that before. That's so great. I might steal that.
Yeah.
Now you've got a couple animals yourself, right? Do you have a couple of cats or?
I do. Yeah, I have three cats. So I have a domestic short hair, a Bengal, as well as a Devon Rex. And
Wow.
again, brain candy. I very often when I'm running around throughout my day and I'm in the car, waiting to go to my next location, I daydream about what they might be up to. And very often I'm pretty sure it's napping. Uh, but I've really made an effort throughout my travels. So, for example, I've traveled to a lot of different places in the world, and making an effort to go into nature, making an effort to be close to animals, especially animals as close to their natural habitat as possible, is always something that is of interest to me.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. And you said when you were younger, you would volunteer, and I think I know the pet store exactly at Markville Mall. Um, but rewinding it a little bit more when you were a young girl, if you can think of yourself, what did you dream about being when you grew up? Like, did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up? And if so, what was it at that age?
I think that I always dreamed of just being a strong female in the world. Like I
Yeah.
always gravitated towards kind of being independent, being strong, and it came in many forms. Like for example, I wanted to be the head of a newspaper company. I wanted to be an actress. I wanted to be the head of a company. The so I think that I gravitated towards, just the opportunity to be a leader and to be somebody that would inspire other people.
Yeah, that's amazing. And here you are now having, being the founder of this tea company. I think that's so fascinating that it sounded like all of those things you dreamed of being were like the like big things, like that leader. And here you are in that position. And so with your tea company, so tell me about your passion for tea. When did this begin?
Well, that I think started very, very young. Having tea parties. I have a sister who was maybe the first tea sampler that I worked with.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Definitely my first guest for many of my tea parties. And yeah, so I've always really loved tea. I just as a lifestyle choice, I don't drink alcohol. And so when I was younger, I would very often drink tea at social gatherings in substitute for having a glass of wine. So the passion really developed from there because there's actually so much complexity and different properties and different ingredients and processing and so much to the industry of tea. And I just became what started as just, a delicious indulgence became an all-consuming passion for me to learn everything and anything I could about the tea industry, about tea itself, and just really all things in terms of it as a passion in my life.
And it is a huge industry. Like, I'm sure once you start to, get into it even more than I know about it, like it must, I feel like, here in Canada, all over the world, really, tea is a big part of people's, like day to day between different countries and how they indulge in tea, right? So it must be quite a global industry.
Yeah, it's definitely a global industry. And what's really exciting too is that the Tea Association of Canada, which we're proud members of, is a huge association that's very notable. And many people come and study as a part of the Tea Association of Canada. And we are leading in terms of education, offerings with respect to learning more about tea and all things tea. So that's really exciting to me, is that Canada is at the forefront of that, and we're really proud to be a part of it as well. And also just traveling throughout the world, you can see how tea is such a centerpiece to relationships. Sitting, having a cup of tea, resolving conflict over tea, reuniting family over tea. It's very, very special.
Yeah, for sure. And for me, it's like at the end of a couple of times a day, but that real comfort at the end of the day, I can relax and have my tea, right? It's just that part of our day. Yeah, I never thought of it the way that you just said it. That's really, really cool. So you said about the education piece, and that's what I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about. So with your tea and with your company, how do you create the flavors? Like, how do you choose them? What's that process like? How does that work?
Well, it's an iterative process.
Okay.
There is a lot of sampling that happens, and we work with a team in terms of making sure that we think about not just what my preferences are in terms of tea flavors, but also looking at different types of ingredients that appeal to others. So that is a really fun process. I'll be perfectly transparent. It's a lot of tea drinking. It's a lot of tea parties, inviting people over and sitting and drinking tea and really having an opportunity to play with the ingredients.
Yeah.
So that's an important part of the process as well.
That's cool. So you can kind of just create your own unique blends and your own unique flavors, and then say, "Your friends, what do you think? Yes or no," kind of thing. Is that how it works?
Yeah, I have been very fortunate as to forge relationships with various, partners across the globe. So I have access to very high quality ingredients. I get them shipped to me, and a lot of times the recipes, they begin from that place of sitting down and having the opportunity to do different combinations of ingredients in order to achieve the desired taste profile that I'd be looking for within my tea blends.
Okay, so you mentioned about the relationships that you have with different, with different countries. And so, like, has your industry of tea, have you had to travel much for this industry? Have you gone to different places for this industry?
I have. So I've traveled to many different continents, and I've had the opportunity to forge relationships with many different partners that I work with and meet them face to face. And so, it's taken me some incredible places in the world, Africa, it's taken me to Vietnam, it's taken me to, Asia, going to Japan, going to China, going to all these incredible places. And I feel very fortunate that that was definitely part of the beginnings of my tea company journey.
Any one place in particular that stood out to you that you really fell in love with?
I think that I was swept right off my feet by Rwanda. Rwanda is like one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. The people are incredible. The landscape is truly breathtaking. And I'm like, how do I reconfigure my life to spend more time there?
Wow. So it really took hold of you.
It was just like, it was love. And especially, they have an incredible, animal community there.
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
They have like so much beautiful landscape and animals that inhabit it. So it's definitely a place that I fell head over heels in love with.
Oh wow, that's amazing. Well, I'll add it to my bucket list for sure. As an entrepreneur, I would imagine going to all of these different places would be quite inspiring and would move you. It sounds like you were quite moved by going to Rwanda, but how do you stay motivated, as an entrepreneur and inspired? And how do you come up with new ideas for the brand?
I think the most important part of that process is incremental, in that exposing yourself to art in all of its forms. So music, painting, spoken word poetry, all of it. Even if in the moment itself, it's not earth-shattering, transformational, exposing yourself to art, being near creativity and artistic people, looking at the world through different lenses is a really essential ingredient to being able to, it's almost like you're banking creativity, you're storing it within you. And so when the time comes for you to come up with an idea, you have this incredible repository of creativity that you've stored from exposing yourself to different creative mediums. And I just think it's really important to make that something that's a priority in your life in different ways. So not just listening to the same music that you listen to all the time, but actually intentionally choosing different music and falling in love with it or finding what's beautiful about it. I believe that it does really incredible things for the neural pathways in your brain. But I also think it stores creativity in your body that you can then access at a later time.
I love that. I really love that, because sometimes what we see and experience, today, it stays with us, and we maybe just store it somewhere, and then something else will happen and it'll be like, it pulls from that memory.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting and really cool. So with the names of the teas, like, is the art and the poetry and all of that, is that how you come up with how are you, like, those creative names, or how do you come up with that?
Well, I'm a full-blown romantic. And so the brand was really an homage to love, and to, just a lot of the historic literature, folklore that goes along with tea has a little bit of romance to it. And so when I thought about, differentiating myself in the marketplace when it comes to my brand, my love of love, but also as an homage to not only love, but the romanticism of some of the folklore, of some of the history with tea, was definitely something that I wanted to pull in. So The playfulness of the names is definitely something that is a tribute to the romance and love of tea.
Wow. You're inspiring me to go and read and learn more about this part of it all. This is so cool.
Well, tea definitely has some very uh, incredible folklore, incredible stories, and history associated to it.
And it really arouses the senses, doesn't it?
Very much. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about it, it's a full sensory experience. The smell, the taste, the sound of the kettle boiling, all of it. So I really wanted to play on the senses. I wanted to think about all these beautiful things that I love about the tea experience and pay tribute to that as a part of the brand.
Yeah. Wonderful. And part of your brand, what I have read, is about sustainability. Um, and can you tell me a little bit more about, what sustainability means to you, how it works into your company? And I would imagine that, in the industry you're in, with the level of sustainability that you do, that it would play a part, probably not only in your business, but almost like a mindset, almost like a way to live. Is it that important to you? And how does it work into your business?
I'm glad you asked because it really is something that is at the forefront of the considerations of everything that we do within our team and the way that we operate within our business. So, for example, we really wanted to think about, for example, when it comes to the packaging, even though our packaging looks luxurious, it's beautiful enough that you could put it decoratively on your countertop in your kitchen. We wanted it to be something that would be easily recycled and also promoting a circular economy in that we're offering the opportunity to refill the packaging so that you can use the cylinders, the beautiful cylinders, as many times as possible before you ultimately may make the decision to recycle it. So, that was something that I wanted to be very mindful in the creation of, because I wanted to think about luxury and balancing that with sustainability. So, very often I mention to people that, even though our packaging looks very luxurious, it is just simple cardboard, and it is readily and easily recycled when the time comes. Now, that being said, I also wanted to focus a lot of my attention on the delicate plant-based tea sachets that would be enveloping the beautiful natural ingredients of our product. And so I wanted something that was plant-based. I wanted it to be odorless, tasteless, inert, fully biodegradable. Same with the cotton string, everything. The dream was that you could actually put it in the organic bin when you're finished, because we do focus on tea sachets as a part of our business model. So we don't carry loose leaf, and so we want to create the luxury of the experience of enjoying a sachet, but with the sustainability and that promotion of being able to ensure that when you're finished enjoying your tea, that you could put it in the green bin and have it be something that's biodegradable. So the sachets are developed with that in mind.
And I have actually here, ta-da! I have your sultry chai tea here. So, this is such a lovely container and beautiful. When you say it can be used for like a decorative piece on your shelf, it can. So,
really wanted to have a freshness seal. So you'll notice that when you remove the top part of the cylinder, at the top there is a fresh seal. So again, it promotes that circular economy, ability to refill it. and use it again and again.
Yes, it's such a beautiful tea. I will say that from experience. It's just a really amazing product. So congratulations on that, and also on that sustainability piece. That's really important.
Well, I appreciate the endorsement.
Of course, of course. Exactly. Exactly. Um, any challenges for you? Like I can sense your passion about it, and that's, that's huge, but there must have been some challenges for you along the way of starting or maybe growing this business. I'd love to understand maybe what some of those were.
Well, there have been plenty. And especially because the launch of the brand coincided with COVID lockdowns and the implications of that on the supply chain. So I really feel as though at the initial start of the business, I faced many obstacles. What I appreciate about that experience is that I really had the opportunity to test all kinds of different mechanisms. I mean, there's some entrepreneurs who maybe spend years before they ever have the opportunity to go through the type of tests that I went through all within my first year of business. And so I feel as though, in a way, that's a gift, because I really had the opportunity to secure and test my supply chain. I know that the partners that I'm working with are trustworthy, that they deliver, that they have a commitment to excellence in terms of their service level to our business. And that type of test doesn't come along all the time. So I'm grateful for it. And it was definitely something that I did not anticipate at the time of the creation of the brand. But looking now, I think it's made our business model much stronger. And I have to say that, throughout all of those challenges, I can't help but note all the incredible women that were part of that journey in supporting us as we, made our way forward during those very ambiguous times.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that helps me, segue into my next question, actually, about, amazing women, because you and your company are such an amazing supporter of the Women Empowerment Awards. And if you're lucky enough to be at the award, I believe your tea is going to be in the gift bags. Is that right?
That's true. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. So why is it so important for you to be part of this, this awards, this women empowerment?
Well, I really feel that it's important because empowered women empower women. And I just love the spirit of these awards. I'm inspired and motivated by all of the nominees, the participants, the guests at the award show itself, and the dinner. I'm mesmerized to be in such incredible company, and I really do derive a lot of inspiration and motivation to keep going on my own entrepreneurial journey through the meeting of the incredible women that are part of this network for the Women's Empowerment Awards.
Yeah, last year when I was sitting there and watching all of these women and hearing their stories and their journeys, I was just blown away. Like, I expected a good evening. Don't get me wrong, I expected a great evening, but wow, was I ever proud to be a woman, after seeing all of these amazing, people just up on stage. So even just being in that company, I found really inspiring.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so inspiring. And I couldn't help but, really feel passionate about finding ways to get involved and to give back.
Right. Yeah. Well, great. So is it going to be chai again in the gift bags this year, or do you know yet what it's going to be?
I'll leave it surprise.
Okay. All right. Well, as we come to the end, and these always go by so quickly, but as we come to the end, I always ask my guests this. And the question is, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self? So looking back, everything that you've been through so far on your journey, looking back to, the little girl, what piece of advice would you give to her?
Dream bigger. Dream bigger. I think, definitely what I thought was possible, and some of the goals that I look back that I was setting for myself. I think I wasn't dreaming big enough. In some cases, I was putting limitations on myself, barriers to what I believed was possible, on myself. And I think now looking back, I would tell her to dream bigger.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Dream bigger. Well, what an absolute honor to sit here with you and hear your story and your journey.
Oh,
Kristen Berry, tea sommelier, founder of Le Bonne Fille Tea. I'm so excited to see what is going to be in our little grab bags this year at the Women Empowerment. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for supporting the Women Empowerment Awards. We're so much better to have you on board with us.
thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.